All right, let's go. All right. Let's go, Tim.
All right, so Dell's not here today, Dad, so we're going to get right into the questions. A lot of stuff happening. And this is from Sens Win. Hello, Grapes. In the Ottawa Sun, there was an article that Brady Tkachuk should be made to stop fighting. Do you think that's a good idea?
I had the same thing when I was in Boston. Terry O'Reilly.
Yeah.
What was his record?
Well, he led your Bruins the 1 year with 90 points. I think he had 13 fights and 4 games in suspension.
I remember I said you can't take the teeth out of the tiger, and he went on. And did he win the scoring title that year?
Well, no, he led the Bruins though in scoring. He had 90 points, and I think he was one of the last guys to lead a team in scoring with like 90 points, and he still had over 300 minutes in penalties. He was like out that 1 year with Al Secord. But even if you told Terry not to fight,
he'd fight more.
That's right, just to spite you.
Just to spite me. You never ever tell a guy like Brady Tkachuk to stop fighting.
Right. Remember the time you were telling me that Terry used to tap guys on the shoulder? He was such a fair fighter.
He's such a fair fighter. I said, Terry, someday somebody, and know it's you, and just turn around and just splat you. And that's exactly what happened with Danny Maloney. Tapped him on the shoulder, and he just turned around and just splattered him.
I remember that. I think that was in Detroit.
I forget where it was.
And I remember Terry kind of tapped him, but he just turned around.
just drove him.
Yeah. Terry got him the next game, though.
Oh, it was a beauty in the next game.
So, Dad, last night we were watching the games. There was the Bruins and Philly in the afternoon, and you got to admit there was some phantom calls against Philly, and Tortorella went nuts after.
Especially the one.
Yeah,
especially the one. You know, you don't mind the guys calling penalties, and they call penalties pretty good, not bad
overall. Yeah,
overall they're not bad.
But you know the thing, I think the big difference though, Dad, when you were coaching and the refs, was that in a 3-1 game in the third period, they might have called that. They wouldn't have called that penalty. They might have called it in the first period. But a 3-1 game, there's no way that the referees like John McCauley or even the bad guys like Van Hellemond and all that weren't the greatest, in Harris, they wouldn't have called that.
Never in a million years.
Tortorella will get fined for that, I bet.
Oh, he'll get fined for being right.
That's right. Don't tell the truth. So, Dad, here's one from Kyle from Facebook. He goes, "Hey, Grapes, I'm sure you've heard about Biz fighting the 7 guys in the parking lot in Arizona. So, in case people haven't heard about that, Paul Bissonnette, who's on TNT and was on Hockey Night in Canada sometimes, he got into a fight. There was these 7 guys that were kind of picking on a manager in a family restaurant, and he stepped in, and they went outside, and the guys gave it to him pretty good, but he gave as good as he got. And the police came and they arrested the guys. But Kyle asks, he says, how about some parking lot fights or bar fights in your day?
I remember one time, let me set it up. I was sitting beside Connie Mad Dog. He was to my left. And the bar had about 20 seats to 30 seats to it. So this guy, big guy, come in and sat beside me. Connie Madigan said, "That's my seat." To the left of Grapes. And he says, "Well, sit on the other side." I said, "I don't sit on the other side." He says, "That was my seat." Holy Dinah, they got into a fight.
You said it was like right out of the movies.
It was right out of the movies. The chairs were flying and tables were being upturned and I'm sitting there drinking and watching this. Finally, I got Connie down. He says, "You better not let me up there, or I'm going to kill you."
Connie might have.
He might have.
Yeah, he earned that name, Mad Dog, right?
He earned the name Mad Dog. I said, "Okay, I'll grab him by one arm and I'll grab him by the other arm, and I'll hold him down until you get out of here. And I let him up, and I had him against the wall. I knew I was in trouble when the tears started to come out one eye. I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do.
So did he calm down, or?
No, he didn't calm down. He was still going nuts. Believe me, I had him by the arm. I says, he's going to knee me. I know he's going to knee me. And I crossed my legs, and sure enough, he kneed me. Yeah. It's okay, Grapes. He says, let me go. He says, I'm calmed down now. I let him go. And he says, Grapes, if you ever grab me again in a fight, he says, when I get through with the guy that I'm fighting, he says, I'm going to come after you. I never ever grabbed him again in another fight.
Well, I remember you said one of the last times you talked to him, he was, how old was he? And he was up in the oil fields working.
I don't know where he is now.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but this was a while ago. He was up, he was what, in the 70s? He must working as a roughneck up in the oil fields.
Yeah.
Well, you said that the first time you met Connie in Spokane, this was in Spokane, this stuff happened. You and him almost got into it.
I remember we signing our names, and he put Con. I said, that's a good name for you, Con. He never called himself Connie. He was always Con.
You got mad when you said that.
Yeah, I got mad. He says, let's go outside. I said, well, let's go outside. So I went outside, and there was pouring rain, just pouring rain. And we went outside. We went into a car lot next door. And the guy saw us.
Like something right out of a movie.
Yeah, like something.
A Steve McQueen or a Paul Newman movie.
Yeah, it was like a movie. And used car lot like guy phone. Police came. I think he would have hit me.
Well, you said if you would have fell, you think you would have given you the boots.
He would put the boots to me.
But then you were friends after that.
And I was the only guy who had a room with him after that.
Was he a wild guy off the ice?
He was a nice guy off the ice.
Yeah.
He's nice and polite and everything, but boy, you get him mad. He earned the name Mad Dog.
So, Dad, we got Jerome Fleury on X. He says, hey, Grapes, throughout your career, which moment to you is the most cherished?
Well, I'd have to say winning my first game in the playoffs. We won the game, and I was so happy.
When that was against from Boston and Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never forgot that.
Do you know which team you beat for your first win in Boston?
No.
Philly.
Was it?
Yeah, Philly was your first win in Boston. Razor Sports Shift. Okay, Dad, we're about quarter of the way through the season. Who wins the Cup this year?
I would say the Leafs have as good chance as anybody to win the Cup. They got the good goaltending. They got the defense that is not too bad now, and they got the forwards.
For team stats, they're one of the lowest goals against.
Is that right?
Yeah. If you go to like you say now, who's going to beat the Leafs in a seven-game series?
Yeah,
right now, it'd be pretty tough to pick somebody.
Pretty tough to pick somebody that's going to beat them right now. Maybe
I'd say Florida would have a chance.
Florida.
But with Edmonton, I'd take the Leafs over Edmonton in a 7-game series, you know.
Well, I don't know.
Washington's kind of surprised. You know what it really kind of surprised me was they're having that 7-league face-off, whatever it is called, coming up. And there's only one team that didn't have a player picked to represent it, and it was Washington. And they're third in the league, and they got mad.
Boston Bruins used to do that too. We never got picked. Nobody ever got picked on our job.
No, I remember that Goal Magazine. Remember Goal Magazine?
Oh yeah.
They had like the best goalie, best defenseman, best defensive defenseman, best face-off guy, hardest shot, best winger. They had a list of about 30 questions of who was the best, and not one Bruin was picked, and you guys were second to Montreal.
They just did not like us.
No, they didn't like the way you guys played. You know, they were because it was picked by the press, right? And they didn't. You guys were kind of the.
I kept reminding them too all the time.
Right, you use that us against the world, right?
It was us against the world, and nobody will pick us for anything, and nobody did.
So it's Lab at Mom's Fave Stooge asks, hey Don, what rule change, big or small, do you think you would to improve the game? We've talked about that before. You'd get rid of the instigator rule, but he says, I'll start. If you get a minor, you must serve the full 2 minutes, even if a goal was scored, which they used to do, right?
Well, Tom Beliveau goes 3 goals in 44 seconds.
And that ruined that. Well, they did.
Game's over.
Right. So they did change that because of the Montreal Canadiens,
Yeah.
right?
Montreal Canadiens at their height.
Okay, Duke from X. He asks, who wins, a team of Gretzky or a team of Orrs? Meaning if there was 5 Wayne Gretzkys and 5 Bobby Orrs, who wins?
Well, Bobby Orr used to be able to body check, used to be able to fight, used to be able to hit.
And he was a good defenseman.
And he was a good defenseman. I would have to say, Orrs would win the cup.
It all depends who's in net. Okay, Dad, so we got one more question. Sun Devil 21. Hey, Grapes, who was the biggest celebrity you've met, and who in history would you like to have a beer with?
I've already had a beer with Bobby Orr, so that doesn't count.
Okay.
All right, that doesn't count. Jack Dempsey. We were at this here function. We were American Hockey League, and we were with Joe Crozier, and he was a general manager and coach, and he saw all the speech engagement that was going to be there. Annie Youngman, Frank Sinatra. I mean, it's
Holy smokes! So it was big celebrities.
Oh, it was the celebrity of the year
Here in Rochester.
Yeah, and it was in Rochester. So he said, "You're going to speak this tonight." I said, "I don't even know the guy's name." It was.
So were you nervous?
Oh, nervous. Let me tell you something. I tore her up now for quick. And I was standing in the back. All of a sudden, a big hand comes on, and he said, "What is this here, son?" And I said, and I look at him, and it's Jack Dempsey.
Wow.
Jack Dempsey.
Yeah. Well, he was, back then, he was the star.
He was the star.
Yeah.
And I said, "Mr. Dempsey, this is for you, and this is and they're going to give you diamond cufflinks." I never forgot they were going to give him diamond cufflinks. I was so nervous. So anyhow, I got up and I bullshitted my way through, and I told Crozier afterward, "Don't ever do that again to me."
Because he chickened out, made you do it.
Made me do it.
Yeah. Well, people don't realize that, everybody knows Mike Tyson, and Jack Dempsey was Mike Tyson's hero.
He was really something, that Jack Dempsey.
Okay, Dad, we'll do one more. Lou Song asks, hey, Don, what was your proudest moment as a player?
Well, my proudest moment as a player was when I stood and my captain, Larry Hillman, I think it was. I remember Jack Butterfield handing them the cup, and I never forgot how proud I was standing there, and I won my first Calder Cup.